You're about to attend Auburn University, but you've been homeschooled your whole life. That is the exact situation my gorgeous, very tiny friend Summer had to deal with. She now has to figure out how to make friends, how to have a social life, balance school, work, and social activities. She needs to find a job, and you'll never guess what job she has.
So you work at 1716 and you're actually a female bouncer there. So tell me, what made you decide to go and seek this job, and how's it been so far?
It's actually really interesting because it plays into my career field. I really wanted to do some kind of security work. So I live up in Huntsville. That's my hometown. And I was looking for security work in the area, and I found a job at a concert venue. And so I was working backstage security. I was meeting a bunch of artists, and I loved it. It was amazing. And then I came to Auburn. I was like, I need a job. And I was like, what possibly could I do? I feel like it's such a odd thing to be looking for in a college town. And I was like, wait, I could try bouncing. But it was very intimidating looking for that job. I was like, I don't want to go to Sky because I know people who went to Sky and they've been like, no, I don't. But so I went over to 17 because I was a regular over at 17. Loved going to 17, went in, put in my application, and I got my security job that I wanted.
What's been the most challenging thing about being a female bouncer?
It's very intimidating to be in a male-dominated field. So you're surrounded by guys. They're big, they're muscular, and obviously they're gonna be able to handle themselves in a fight. And you're a 5'3" woman that weighs 140 pounds on a good day. It's scary.
Have you had to break up fights?
I've broken up a couple, but I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since I was 12 years old. I'm a blue belt in it, so I have that advantage. But it's also just challenging because you're put in a position where I could get seriously hurt. If I break up a fight and say a punch goes flying, it's going to hurt me a lot more than it's going to hit our giant 6-foot bouncer that we got over there. You know what I mean? So that part's very scary. It's a very fun job and it has its challenges, but I really enjoy it.
Are you always going to be in security, or do you want to try to do something else at the bar as well?
I've been bouncing for over a year now, and I have my first bar backing shift on Monday. So I'll be going into that sphere, and then hopefully in the future I will start bartending. So
that's pretty awesome.
It's on the plate.
You want to definitely end up bartender is the goal there, right?
Yeah. It looks like so much fun.
What challenges do you face when trying to argue with somebody that is definitely drunk and you're like, buddy, you gotta go?
Oh my gosh. I had to learn a lot of lessons when it came to this. At first, I would yell back. I would be like, yo, insert curse words here. But over time, I just kind of look at them because it's really funny. Because if you just stand there and you just look at it,
they just get more mad. And I think that that's so hilarious because, having been doing this for a while, you learn that if you're going to get aggressive or get tense with them, it never works.
Never works.
So do you get a lot of super drunk people that you have to carry out of the bar?
It happens with the girls. So part of the reason why I was hired is actually whole thing. I talked to Tiny. You know Tiny?
Yeah, we love Tiny.
I love Tiny so much. He gave me the pet top and he was like, one of the biggest things that the bars have an issue with is girls going in the bathroom and puking and the bouncers can't go get them because the bartenders are working, especially on a really busy night. So I went in and had that whole pep talk. He told me some things that might be beneficial to have a female bouncer. So I went in there and I was like, hey, do you guys have issues with girls throwing up in the bathroom? And they're like, yeah, we usually have to pull a bartender to deal with it. And it's a little bit of an inconvenience. And I was just like, that's great. That's a situation I could handle. If you want help, I can do it. So that's a big part of what I do and why I'm there. And sometimes the girls get really crazy when it comes to it. We've had people just laying on the floor, just passed out from puking. And I've had to carry, their friend will help, but I've had to carry them out because they are just limp. They are so gone. And I'm like, how did you get to this point? I envy you right now. I wish I could be that drunk. I've had to deal with that before, but I've not had a situation where it's just pure dead weight. And the dead weight is the worst.
Yeah, there's no help.
There's no help at all. And dead weight is just your worst nightmare.
So how do you help somebody in that situation if, you you can't get like a name out of them or figure out who they're with and stuff, like what do you do?
One of my big things is I like to be like, if somebody is not feeling good in that kind of situation, like kind of being a girl's girl and being nice. I feel like a lot of people go into that and they're like, hey, you just need to get out right now. And they're kind of mean about it. And I try to, this is something I've learned with time, but I try to be nice. Like, I'm like, hey, do you need water? We can sit you up front, put a trash can up front. I gotta have you go. Like, I gotta take your wristband because we can't serve you drinks anymore. But I always offer that. And I mean, don't be wrong. Sometimes they're really rude about it and they'll be like, no, I'm fine. Can you not walk out with me? It's embarrassing. And I'm like, you know, it's more embarrassing. Sitting on the floor, that gets very disgusting things on it. I don't think I should go into the things we found on the floor. We've found pregnancy tests on the floors. We've found, you know, tampons. Like,
we're going to take a side quest here on stories because I'm sorry, but girls are like the nastiest when it comes to the fucking bathrooms. Like, they are so gross. Like, I feel really, really bad for the bouncers that have to go and clean up afterwards. And this is how I gauge on how crazy the night was, is how ridiculous that fucking female bathroom looks, because
Absolutely.
It's so gross. Like, there's trash cans right there. Why can't you use it?
Mm-hmm.
You got stuff all over the fucking walls like that shouldn't be on there. Like, what the hell are you doing in here?
Some of the top picks I have found in the bathroom is I've found underwear just thrown on the floor. That one's interesting. I don't know what leads you to that point to just throw your underwear off, but you know, you do you, ma'am. I found like those Summer's Eve wipes on the floor, and I'm like, all right, we had to freshen up a little bit. Like I said, the pregnancy test. Oh, it wasn't a pregnancy test. It was a pregnancy test wrapper. So I'm assuming whatever was on that test was not good. Because I like kind of like peeked in the trash can. I was like kind of curious. I was like, is there a pregnancy test? No. There was nothing in the trash can from the top. So there's just some crazy things that you can find on the floor in there.
Sometimes I wonder if it's like planted, you know, like, you know, just for like the gram or for like shock value. You know, there's certain things where I could think of like condoms, you know, like obviously some guys will just kind of just leave condoms like just around.
Yeah.
Or if like it's like not there where it should be anymore. That's unfortunate for them.
I feel like it's like that's definitely like a thing. Like we'll sweep up, we'll find like a couple condoms in the wrapper. There was one time there was like it was like a wipe to give you an erection like on the floor, and I was like,
do
oh,
what now?
Yeah.
They may. Did it say it on the packaging?
Yeah.
Or oh my gosh.
I had to Google it. Like I looked at it, I was like, what the hell is this? And I looked up, I was like, oh, somebody's having some issues in the bedroom.
I am so dead. That's so funny.
I always say, when you go to the bars and stuff, look at the floors, because you're either going to find something really funny, you're going to find gift cards, or you're going to find money. Yeah, that's a big one. I found lots of money on the floor. One time I was walking through Southeastern and found a Best Buy card on the ground. I was like, okay, there's no way for anybody to know like who this goes to. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, like, is it okay for me to like just take this? Should I turn it in somewhere? And she's like, there's nothing you can really do.
No.
$300 on it.
What?
I got myself a new monitor, and
that's pretty cool.
I've enjoyed playing my Xbox on it. It's very nice.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So what's it like going to school, having to like find time to study, and then like working in the nightlife?
It is not easy. I will say that, because I am currently taking about 16 credit hours. I'm in club field hockey, and I work this job. I'm working usually Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and then sometimes I'll get a Monday or Wednesday. And that's a lot of hours to work with, especially while working late. So I have to adjust my schedule to accommodate for that. So I do a lot of my classes online, and my classes are later in the day. I refuse to take an early class. But so it's challenging, but if you really work on like managing your schedule and putting effort into it, I guess it's not easy, but you can do it.
It just takes proper planning and making sure that you're good to go.
Yeah, which is not easy.
Definitely not. Definitely takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience, and then just sheer grit at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially like if you're coming off like a really long weekend, like, you know, it's Georgia weekend for us. You know, whenever this airs, realize we're both tired as shit because we just worked insane hours for Georgia weekend. I don't know what it was like for you, but like for me, we had an intense like Friday and then even more intense Saturday because goodness gracious, like the game, usually on like a game day, I got to get there at like halftime because if things are like popping and the game is a blowout, we'll go ahead and just get the party started right away. But obviously, if you guys were watching the Georgia game, that is not how that went. And so we waited, you know, right down to the final, you know, seconds. And then, yeah, that happened. So whatever, fuck Georgia. I'm bitter. It's okay. But then I had to start like DJing afterwards. So it was literally like 5:45 it ended. And then like my first set ends at 10:30 because that's when the band starts. So it's a really, really long day. And then to like think that the first set just ended and you still got 2 more to go. And you're just kind of like, I'm just dead at this point. But I really wanted to make an effort to like go and like see the other bars and stuff. You know, I came to visit you earlier at 17 and got me a slushie because it was hot as shit. And it was a good time. You know, like what was Georgia weekend like for you?
It was, so I worked the Friday before. We were there like 3 a.m. I got home, showered because it's kind of gross to like work and like not shower. Showered, washed my face, got all of that done. Got to sleep about 4 a.m. I got, according to my watch, about 4 hours and 40 minutes of sleep. Got up at 9 a.m. the next day. Went into work. It was pretty steady. It was busier than like normal during the day. I think you experienced that while you were there. So we had things to do, and then later in the night it was just slammed. Like the church, the line was all the way down there, just a constant like flow of people. So it was really fun to run around all of that. That crowd's very hard to get through.
What is the craziest thing that you've seen at the bars so far?
This is one of my favorite stories. I want to say like a year ago, my old sorority, I used to be at Theta. They were having a date party over at 17, and we had the stage set up where it was like those planks. It was completely opposite before the remodel. And so we had the speakers on top of that. And I guess one of the speakers was just, it was playing so loud. It was vibrating. So the vibrations caused the speaker to come down and like fall off the stage. It may or may not have hit a girl in the head. So we dealt with that. This year, I go to my class. I'm talking to my teacher. It's a very personal connection with the teacher. And she was talking to me about 17. I was like, yeah, I work over at the bar. I was wearing a 17 shirt. And she goes, oh, did you hear about the girl that had a speaker fall on her head? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's unfortunate. It sucks. She looks at me. She goes, that was my daughter.
You should have told her it was her fault. She did it.
I should have. But I instantly texted my boss and I was like, you are not going to believe this.
Oh, Lord. Does she look at you differently now?
I'll be so honest. I've only been to like 3 of her classes this semester. So I'm sure she notices because she's like, oh, that's the girl that works at the place that gave my daughter a concussion.
Blessed be. Do you still talk to that girl though? Like, I mean, you guys were sorority sisters. So outside of that,
I didn't bond with any of my sorority sisters. I have no clue who she was. Like, I just know her mom apparently.
have you found it difficult to like maintain like a healthy lifestyle in terms of like being so active in like your nightlife and your busy schedule? Like, how do you make sure you find time to self-care and be healthy?
Oh, it's so hard because I feel like there's always something to do. And like, I'm really big on fitness. Like I said, I do the sports and stuff like that. And I love weightlifting. My dad taught me powerlifting and stuff like that. So I try to make time to do that. But like this semester, I haven't had as much time to do that. It really sucks. But eating healthy too, that's really difficult. So like if you're working a double on a Saturday, you have that street where like, so I forget what, Gay Street. You have the restaurants on Gay Street, and that's really your options.
You want pancakes or pizza?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like They're not going to have protein pancakes or anything like that, you know?
Stacks does.
Oh, they do? Really?
Yeah. But yeah, they actually have protein pancakes.
I mean, I guess the important question is, do they have mimosas?
Oh, they have the best. Like, they have this flight of mimosas that have like different flavors. I love getting the Dancing Queen because they put edible glitter in it. So it's like really freaking pretty. And Stacks, amazing place. So if you haven't tried it, freaking go to Stacks. Okay. Stacks, I love you. If you want to sponsor me, right here, all day, every day, Stacks. So what's like your day off look like? What do you like doing? Do you catch up on schoolwork? Do you want to try to go and hang out with friends and do normal things? Like, what do you like doing?
A day off. It's nice to think of things that you'll never have. My first priority is schoolwork, obviously. Like, I try really hard to stay on top of that, have good grades. I want to make my mom and dad proud, you know? So, I knock that out first. And then if I have friends that want to hang out or whatever, then I do that. So, because I love my friends. Like, I want to spend time with y'all. It's just some time management and figuring out, like, the priorities. That's definitely schoolwork, unfortunately.
How much longer until you graduate?
I graduate in May of 2025.
Woohoo! I
Yeah.
mean, you're almost there.
Don't want it to be over.
When you were coming to Auburn, did you like research places that interest you that you had to like stop by and see when you were in Auburn?
We definitely wanted to see the stadium because like the record for like the biggest teleprompter or like TV thing. I don't know what it's called. But we've seen that it's like one of the biggest that you can get, and walking over there on Tumors and seeing Samford, those were all really important whenever I came because I wanted to see like what made Auburn.
So what's it like dating in this area? You know, it's, you know, you're a fresh college kid and you're working in the nightlife and you're involved in a lot of like different activities. How do you go about meeting people? Do you do it organically, just kind of like by, you know, mutual friends and just like working at the bar? Or are you into apps? Like what are you doing?
I mean, I have the apps, but it's more or less like I like to go on there and mess around. Like, I'm not looking at it seriously. So, you know, I'll do like a really funny, like I'll be around with my friends and like say a funny pickup line and like just move on, you know? I prefer to meet people organically.
But going back, has any of those funny pickup lines actually worked for you?
I think they have like a couple times. Like they just
Nice.
laugh at me and then they're like, so what you up to? And I'm like, that was the stupidest thing anybody could have said to you. And you are texting me twice.
So you're not a big double texter then?
I mean, I don't mind it, but I mean, I'm just playing around. Like, don't text twice, you know?
Is it difficult to meet people?
I think for me it is. I'm just so picky when it comes to people. I have very high standards. So I'll find somebody and then like I'll be like, oh, you're pretty cool. And then like they either don't like you back or like you notice something and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like go for that because that's kind of like a huge red flag kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it might just be like me being anti-dating. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't have time for it right now.
I mean, obviously you're super busy, but what
Yeah.
kind of person are you looking for?
I just want somebody that's like actually like not trying to just hook up. I feel like that's a really big thing that happens on college campuses. So what I've ran into, there's a lot of situationships.
That's like a big thing these days.
Oh my gosh. If I had situationships are terrible. So terrible. So it's like they don't want to commit to you, but you want to commit to them. And then like, it's
You're just
a
in a weird
mess.
situation.
Yeah.
But don't you communicate that beforehand? Like,
girl. I had a whole thing with a guy one time, communicated. I was like, hey, I want to date you, like for real. So like, just tell me when. And then like it went on. And then he was just like, yeah, sorry, no. Like after months. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
did he ever respond that like he wanted that too? Or like, did he lead you on to think that he eventually wanted that as well?
Well, I mean, like I told him, I was like, you know, if you don't want anything, like, let's cut this off. And he was like, no.
No, of course not, because they're waiting to line up the next thing before,
Yeah.
you know, they carry on.
Absolutely.
It is very interesting because this is guys and girls that both do this. Nobody ever wants to cut anything off until they already have something lined up.
Oh, yeah. And oh, man, that sucks to think about.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's not technically cheating, but like, it's still, I don't understand what makes it so difficult for somebody to just be like, look, I'm not into you anymore. I'm cool with being by myself for a little bit. Go about and find your own thing. That way no one gets hurt. You're not wasting the other person's time. Like, why is that so hard?
It's very frustrating because I've ran across that a lot, but I feel like a lot of people just at the age that we're at, like, it's an immaturity thing. So it's a where you're embarrassed, kind of like you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You're embarrassed, but you're also not mature enough to know how to communicate it in a way that isn't going to hurt their feelings and things nicely. Because you can text somebody and be like, I mean this so respectfully. You're a great person. Like, I just wanted to be upfront and honest with you. I don't see this going anywhere, but I would love to, like, you know, be friends with you or whatever. I don't, like, it sucks for the other person in the moment, but it's better
than dragging them on.
Yeah.
I think that is the worst thing you could do, is waste somebody's time. Because I think that's the thing that people don't really understand, is that when someone gives you time and effort, like, that's a lot that they're taking away from other things. Because, like, look at you, you know, you're definitely working, you're in school, you've got all of these activities you're involved in. You're going to have to take the time to text this person, to talk to them, to get to know them. And if they don't have enough respect to appreciate that time, it's move on.
That's something I take very seriously, is my time. Like, I can't get that back. So how are you going to sit here and waste it? You know what I mean? But it's very frustrating.
What would you say are some big red flags whenever you, like, first meet somebody?
You look at little things. Like, for me, like, I'll throw something in there. Like, you know, what do you think about, you know, mental health? Like, something like that. I'll throw something in and they'll be like, oh, like, who cares about that? Like, that's like, you throwing in little questions and seeing how they respond compared to me. Like, that's really important, like, for catching the red flags.
Compatibility as well.
Something else that's like a red, like, maybe not a red flag, but when I'm talking to somebody, I like to get, like, their future plans to see what they're doing in the future. And I guess, like, it's not really a red flag, but, like, it would keep me from going for it, is like, if it's not something that can line up with me in the future. Because, like, I mean, maybe I'm a little young, but, like, I want to, like, whoever I date, I want them to be potential to marry. But, you know, also not holding doors. That's a big one. Like, I feel like having respect for women is such a big thing. And, like, I grew up holding hold the doors, you open the car door, like, just sweet little things like that. It means a lot. And I pay attention to that. I 100% pay attention to that.
There's actually a lot more guys that do that, which I'm very surprised. And I think that's, you know, a credit to all their mamas and stuff, but they do those things. And I think that is really sweet, that I hope people continue to do, regardless if it's like a hookup, a situationship, or like an actual relationship. Like, do those things. It's sweet. But yeah, you got girls that can be like their own independent women that make their own money, but it's still really nice if a guy goes and, like, does those things.
Yeah. I mean, like, man, I just want somebody to pay for my dinner one day. I'm so used to paying for my own.
Wait,
like,
you go on dates and they don't pay. Do they offer to pay?
The last one didn't.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Did he tell you that beforehand? Like, or did you guys just get the, like, when they were like just together or separate, and just like separate?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I'm so sorry if this dude is watching this. It's gonna be so embarrassing. But he turned around at the thing and they asked, is this gonna be together or separate? And he turns around and he goes, is it gonna be together or separate? And I was like, do you want me to pay for your meal? Because I can do that. I mean, I make enough money. Do you not make enough? Yeah. So I said that, and I went separate. It'll be separate. So.
I mean, most of the times, like, yeah, for a lot of, like, my male friends that I'll talk to whenever they go on, like, dates and stuff, because, you know, it is interesting. In my life, all of, like, my female friends are all hooked up and married or in long-term relationships, but my guy friends, like, you know, they're still single, dating, you know, looking and stuff. So I get more of their point of view of, like, what it's like for them. And, you know, for them, a lot of, like, my male friends, they're the type of people that will pay, but they want the girl to at least act like they might try to pay too, you know, like, or like be thankful that that the guy paid, from a female perspective. Like for me, I'm never going on another date in my life. So this won't pertain to me. But yeah, if I were to go on a date, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal if I were to pay or if they were to pay. If the date went really, really well and he paid, then that's awesome. But if it sucked and I paid for it, it's because like you weren't, the vibe wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because I'm never going on a date ever again.
I can feel that.
Yeah. It's just tough. Like dating is tough regardless of like age, you and I have probably a pretty big gap. And so, but we go through the same types of situations, where you have to vet the person to see if they're even going to be worth your time to pursue anything further.
Mm-hmm. It's just, you really don't want to waste your time. Like, I'm so young and you're young too. Like, we are both so young. And why should we waste our youth on something that's going to hurt us in the end? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then you also can't think that it's going to hurt you. Like you got to have some sort of positivity when it comes to dating. And I think it's more along the lines of not necessarily like dating to marry, but to develop like a best friend that can lead up into something like marriage.
It kind of goes back because that's why it's so good to meet people. I met all my best friends organically. I didn't meet them on dating apps.
No.
So I feel like it's like better to like meet them organically if you're going to make your best friend. Like,
so like say you have a male best friend. Would you ever want to take that step further though?
Oh, it really depends. It depends on which one, because I mean,
wait a second. Are we talking about how like you got some current best friends that are on the roster that may?
No.
I must say it is kind of. I've had situations where long-term wise friendships become more than what they are, and that's been really, really nice too. But I think also meeting somebody fresh and new, like there's something exciting about that.
So exciting.
But it's also the part where there we go back to time and effort. And it's like you find out that it isn't the person you necessarily want, but don't mourn the time that you spent with them. Just, pick up and carry on, learn your lessons and then go on your way.
I'm a very big, everything happens for a reason type of gal. And I think we go through like different situations with like my situations with bad men. Everything happens for a reason. I would not be the person I am today if that dude, like my freshman year, didn't completely fuck me over. You know what I mean? Like if he didn't treat me terribly, I would not be Summer today. I'm me because of that. And I feel like that goes with a lot of different things. And eventually like you learn the lessons that you need to, and you build yourself as a person. And eventually you meet a great person. And because of that building experience, it led you to that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny. I was literally just talking to Todd about this. Todd's going to be on the podcast as well. And we were talking about origin stories, some of the things that he wants to hear on like a first date is your origin story. What brought you to this point and time to be talking with me right now at this dinner table on this date? And yeah, that is an exciting thing to hear because like sometimes people can have similar experiences, but then take them in different routes.
Yeah. But some people don't there's some people that are not going to handle it very well versus handle it well. And that might not align with you. Like the way somebody handles a situation might not have been a way that you would handle the situation. And that kind of difference, it really can tell a lot about a person too. Like listening to those types of things.
Yeah. I think definitely like for me, whenever I was going through like my dating phase, it was one of those things where I would pick up on certain social cues that I wouldn't necessarily do, that I would be deemed like I would think was kind of aggressive, and that would be kind of like what is the term you kids use these days? An ick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it gave me the ick.
Yeah. So yeah, those are things that you definitely kind of look out for. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I was married and then I got divorced, and everything about that marriage taught me to be who I am at this very time and moment. And it's made me the person that I am. And so like going out and, chatting with other people, it's a different person that you're talking to than it was when I first started, my relationship with my husband. So it is crazy to think about it like that.
It really is a beautiful thing too. Like, cause you're like, wow, I've come so far since then. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause I like think back and I'm like, man, that was really embarrassing. Like, when you get those thoughts and you're like, oh, that's embarrassing. I can't get it out of my head. And like, I'm just sitting here embarrassed now. I get those sometimes and I'm like, but I wouldn't do that today. So I guess it's cool. You know?
I learned from it because now I'm sitting here embarrassed about it and I'll never do that ever again.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up over here, is there any shout outs you want to get to? You want to give them like your DMs to like slide through?
Oh man. Hey, 17. It's nice to see you. I know you're watching. And hey, mom. I know you're watching too. You can find me on Instagram. It's summer.kenzie, but it's spelled weird. KINZI.
Come check her out at 1716. You know, she'll be bar backing or security or whatever. She'll just be running the joint there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm really glad we were able to do this and get some fun, exciting stories. So I can't wait to see you next weekend. You know,
yeah.
We're back working, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.